Good morning to the whole audience around the world for NFL Insiders. Here we are, another day, another weekend. Happy Halloween to everybody ahead of time. Tonight, a lot of people are coming out, and we'll know who they are. But what we do know is that NFL Insiders is here, and I just want to remind you that this show can be watched across the Single TV network on channels 249 and 250. Remember to go to our to the respective app stores and iOS and Android stores to download the application of Single TV. As well, remember that Single TV can be also watched on Amazon Fire and Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and on Google Chromecast. And with that, I give the way to our guests and my co-host Scott Churchson and Mr. Obi Spencer. And guys, it has been from Thursday till now a really strange happening for Halloween. We start with a Thursday game. Green Bay Packers surprised everybody and gave their first loss to the Cardinals, and I was just surprised.
Yeah, let me start this one off. I had Kyler Murray and AJ Green on my fantasy team. I figured a Thursday night would be a good call because the defenses would be tired, and frankly, they really didn't do crap. In this case, respect, props to Green Bay and to Aaron Rodgers for going in there, getting a win on the road, and dethroning the only undefeated team that was still out there in the NFL. It's for the first time now for Green Bay that they have beaten a 7-0 team since 1934, and doing it on the road on a Thursday night national audience, respect to it.
So to me, the biggest surprise of that wasn't that Green Bay won in general. I'm not shocked by that. What I am shocked about was that they won in general because of how down their team was, but Hopkins was out for most of the game to kind of even it up. I think the most telling thing about that game is how it ended. And this is Kyler Murray's first really big stage in a really big must-win type situation type game. And he throws the interception. Probably actually an interception not on him, but still the interception is thrown nonetheless. And so now we're going to start to go, all right, who's Kyler Murray? Welcome to the stage. Now, Scott, we watched that game together, you and I. We chatted back and forth about how this is a huge, amazing drive. This is a great drive. Mm-hmm. And then, is he for real? And in the end, this week he wasn't for real. Look, Aaron Rodgers has not had those kind of comeback games where he's lost. He's had plenty where he has. Brady the same. Manning the same. The great quarterbacks do that. And let's give him credit. He got it down to the last play of the game, ball in his hands. His team had faith in him. He threw a pass. It didn't go the way it went. I think this was a great coming out party for Kyler Murray, to be honest, even though he didn't get the result he wanted. And it just reminds us, do not doubt this Aaron Rodgers. He's old, but he's been considered the best quarterback in the NFL pretty much his entire career, despite not having the best results, and he did it again this week.
Fair.
So, guys, let's look at the games coming up because they are interesting. Some are going to be, I think, a little bit surprising. But let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals and the New Jersey Jets. Sorry, the Nets are the same way, but Cincinnati has won their last 3 games versus the Jets, and Cincy is a team that is kind of turning around for some odd reason. I don't know why, but they are just packing it up. Obi, what do you think?
I think I was wrong. I think I was dead wrong. I mocked the Cincinnati Bengals for taking Jamar Chase and not taking the offensive lineman. And holy cow, Jamar Chase is the real deal. Can't remember a rookie wide receiver like him. honestly, including, name one that's been the number one receiver on his team in a massive offense. Joe Burrow is somehow quietly the second best quarterback in his class, but maybe he's actually the best. He was picked first, with Herbert getting all of the press. One of these guys' teams is in first place in his division, the other isn't. So that offense is clicking. The defensive line gets to the quarterback. That's a real team to consider. And we forget how many times these championship teams, because of Tom Brady, we forget how many times the rest of the championship teams are built about young quarterbacks with great pieces that they can afford to put in place because the quarterback contract isn't eating everything up. And that's what's happening in Cincinnati. I mean, look, if you have a piece of the Cincinnati offense on your fantasy team, you got to start it now. I mean, that's who they've become.
Agreed. This is I'm going to call it a must win because it's an expected win for Cincinnati. Cincinnati, interestingly enough, holds the record right now, the current mark, as 32 years without actually having been to an AFC championship game, which is the highest in the NFL right now. They have a chance to at least get to the AFC championship this year and finally break that streak. Going up against the Jets right now, the Jets are arguably the second best Division III football team playing in New Jersey at the NFL level. The one that I think is slightly better is the Giants. The Jets right now are without Zach Wilson. They picked up Joe Flacco, which I think was a good pickup. I like that decision. But this is a team that has averaged 13.3 points per game, lowest in the NFL, and somehow is 2 points lower than their NFL low last year. This is a one-sided match. Bengals, if they don't win this thing by at least 10 points, I think it's going to be a loss in my mind.
So let's move on because it's interesting. And we are going to go to another interesting game where the spread is only 3 points, guys. 3 points. Mm-hmm. And that's the Tennessee Titans versus the Indianapolis Colts. And let's remember that the Indianapolis Colts are 12-3 versus the Titans when they are coming off a win. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very interesting game. It could go either way.
This one I think is interesting on the grounds that you got arguably the two best running backs right now. Derrick Henry is basically what I'm calling right now the 2021 version of Bo Jackson and Tecmo Bowl. He is running away, no pun intended, with the running back title right now. He has 869 yards, I think it is right now in the season, and going up against Jonathan Taylor of Indianapolis, who is currently second, I think about 290 yards behind. It's going to be interesting to see how the two of them go. But this is a Tennessee team that, again, could challenge for the AFC championship run, just like I mentioned with the Bengals. So watching those two go at it the entire rest of the season is going to be interesting. This is in Indianapolis. I don't think Carson Wentz will do enough here. I think, like I said, the Titans will take it. I will go with the Titans and the spread on that, and I'm going to say they're going to take it by 4.
I think that the thing to note here, and you stole my thunder, is Jonathan Taylor.
Sorry.
Steal my thunder. Say it first. That's how it works. But Jonathan Taylor has been phenomenal to the point where he's making Carson Wentz look good. and that's important. The other thing about this game that you noted is that both of these quarterbacks are NFL professionals, but neither one is great, and both these teams are winning with decent but not great quarterbacks, guys who have proven over the years that they belong in the NFL. Wentz was questionable last year, but he's showing that he should be there now. So, I mean, this is a great game because of all of its playoff implications. I think the Tennessee Titans are a better team because I think, the other comparison for Derrick Henry besides Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl is he's the guy you built when you were building your own player in Madden. I mean, that's the other guy. He's just this unbelievable creature, and he deserves all the props he's getting. If this man makes it through the full season, he's probably going to win the MVP just because if he makes through the whole season, I think this team makes the playoffs. And I think people are sick of quarterbacks winning the MVP. So I think that will be an interesting thing on Derrick Henry.
So now we go a little bit southern, as we say, and we are going to go to the games between the Rams and the Texans. Opposite records. Rams 6-1, Texans 1-6. I don't see the Texans doing anything. Their defense this year is just horrific. I haven't seen them do much. My end.
Is that your end? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering which house that was.
That's my wife cooking.
You just said that on air. We didn't.
Give me. So.
All right, we'll roll with it in the meantime. We'll talk amongst yourselves. We'll give you a topic. Little Mike Myers there. All right, I guess in this case I'll start this off. You're dealing with a guy right now in Matt Stafford who's having a resurgence. He's always had a decent career, but you're seeing new life in him, and really some of the best numbers he's had since in years, because he's with an LA team that's winning. He's been suffering perennially in Detroit, and I think has new life there. You saw it last week when basically, he went in, he beat Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions in his old team, which he admitted was very difficult. He's facing also another weaker team this week in Houston, and I don't see the Texans even at home even putting up much of a fight here. Like I said, that is a resurgent team, that is a resurgent quarterback, and there's a lot to be excited about in LA Nation if you're a Rams fan. Oh.
I don't know why we're talking about this game. I mean, we talk about every game, so we're talking about this game. But what is there to say? You got one team that's down in the dumps, has a quarterback that they have benched because nobody wants him in the entire NFL, including them. And they were about to bring back Tyrod Taylor, who was an interesting story to start the season, but they're not. He's not playing. They're going to stick with the rookie, who is not the best rookie in the draft class, obviously, and not playing like it. So Houston is Houston. They're not anything interesting, and the Rams are fighting for a Super Bowl. So you have two teams in completely different directions. Next.
So let's go to the game between the Browns and the Steelers, because that's an interesting game. The spread, again, 4 points. It's not very hefty. The Steelers are 15-5-1 against the Cleveland Browns over the last 21 games. It's an interesting matchup. I particularly think that Cleveland being at home is going to be a very difficult match for the Steelers right now. And, it's pride of state. Hey, what can you say?
So this game is interesting because we might see Baker Mayfield coming back and playing. And Baker Mayfield is a guy who I said, oh, this guy's for real at the beginning of the season. Here's I was wrong on the quarterback again. And that's okay. But he needs to come back and prove that they can win with him after they won without him last week. This is a guy who's kind of playing for a contract, whether it's with this team or another team. Because his backup is somebody who can be an NFL quarterback. I think they're going to win this game. I think they are the better team. I think Big Ben is on his literal last leg. And it's sad to see. He probably should have gotten out with Rivers and Manning, who he came in with, and he didn't. And so we're just watching this team struggle. Now, let's give credit where credit is due. Tomlin is an amazing coach to even have eked out 3 wins from this team and be at 500. He was great this week when he got interviewed. The highlight of this game might be the clips that they keep showing of his interview where he said, my favorite part is there's not a donor with a big enough blank check. And I'm not sure if he meant blank or if he meant beep. I mean, it's just a great quote, one that only he knows whether he meant blank or beep. So, yeah, this is a game I think the Browns defense does enough. I think the Browns offense does enough. And I think the Steelers are off to another loss.
I agree. This is an old Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's the last of that lineage of the 2004 QB class. Their defensive line is arguably very suspect. I mean, they've got Cam Hayward, and then who else do they have? So looking at the Browns running game, which was questionable without Chubb and without Hunt, was picked up very nicely by Dearness Johnson last week. So it's going to be interesting to see what the running game does against that defensive line there. But you have a team that's excited again. It's been a lot of years and a lot of years of suffering for the Browns fans. So they have a team right now that is trying to play for, the division title. They've got a strong shot. They're 4-3. They're only a game behind right now. Granted, Baltimore, which we'll get to, and also the Bengals are ahead of them. But with this new playoff format, there's no reason why this team can't get back in the playoffs. This is a big match, though, interdivision like this, because the Steelers are now playing for their own lives as well. Because if they fall down to 3-4, and everybody else starts winning, it's going to separate. And you could find the Steelers at the bottom of this division. And I don't think that's something that people would have expected to see. But no, I don't think the Steelers are strong enough. I think the Browns are going to take this thing. I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to say Browns by 5.
So, guys, the next game we are going to touch, I am going to say that it's a non-important game. Let's put it that way. The Eagles against the Lions. I hate to put it that way, but I am, just because the Lions are playing at home, I'm going to go their way to win their first game of the season. The Eagles haven't proved that they have enough resources there to do absolutely anything. I mean, they are really disappointing considering.
Obi, I want to let you give the decision. Do you want to start, or do you want me to? Because that's your team.
All right, so my Eagles. I think they're going to win. I think that they are the slightly better team. The Lions are a bad team. The funny thing about this game to me, and giving me the go-ahead, is this is such a great fantasy game. You got Gainwell stepping in for Sanders. He's probably a guy that apparently was on 50% of waiver wires or something like that. So if you got time, pick this guy up. He's going to play. He's going to play well. Hate's a hard word. I really don't have faith in Hurts. I don't think he's going to be a successful NFL quarterback. I don't think he's going to be an average NFL quarterback. But fantasy-wise, this is a guy who just can't find out what to do, so he runs, and he runs well. So he's another great fantasy player. And then you got Swift on the Lions. Here's this guy. He's their feels like he's their leading receiver. Feels like he's their leading rusher. If you're getting PPR, he's your guy. If you're getting first down points, he's your guy. So this is like a game that you don't care about the outcome when you're watching this. You're hoping for somehow this to be a high-scoring game, and your fantasy guys are doing great. I mean, Hawkinson's out there on these teams. This is such a crazy game in terms of this is the game fantasy football was created for. This is not the game you want to watch. I'll pick the Eagles, but not by much.
This is what I refer to typically as the battle of the bads. This is an Eagles team that's lost right now. They're quickly losing the division. They're quickly losing the season. But I'm also going to say that this is also a borderline must-win game. This is more of, I think, a must-win game for Detroit than it is for the Eagles. Because let's not forget, Detroit's the only team in NFL history in the 16-game schedule to lose all 16 games. They have a tough schedule coming up, and this is probably their most winnable game for the rest of the season. The rest of the games that they've got, I mean, they got to go against Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota at home, granted. But then Denver, Arizona, Atlanta, at Seattle, and versus Green Bay. That's the rest of their season right now. This might be the easiest game that they've got for the rest of the season. And by God, it's possible if this team could actually go 0-17, and be the first team under the new schedule to actually have a winless season that way. This is a must win for them, but boy, it's going to be close. I'm going to go Philadelphia by 1.
So we'll go to the Bears and San Francisco now. And the Chicago Bears have won their last 3 games versus San Francisco, coming off a loss. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting game. I don't know. The Bears looked a lot better on paper than they do on the field right now. And I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's a very rough season for them.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting, first of all, is the fact that Matt Nagy, whose job is, at least for the moment, secure. earlier in the season, I think we predicted he was going to be one of the first coaches fired. He's secure for the moment, but he's not going to be he's not going to be in there today as coach because of COVID. So in all likelihood, Chris Tabor, the special teams coach, is going to be taking over. But they're going up against a San Francisco team that has lost 4 in a row and frankly is in chaos mode. The quarterback situation is in flux. There's not a lot really going on really that well over there right now. So I don't know, honestly, who could actually win this game. I think this is going to be one of those overtime games that could easily end up in a tie. But just for kicks, I'm going to go with San Francisco to take this one purely on the grounds that, I think it's easier when you have a head coach that is there and you don't have to rely on, a backup coach because in this case, COVID.
So to me, this game is like the toss-up game of the week. I don't know. I mean, even though it's 2 bad teams, you just kind of feel that the Bears, like you said, they're not good. You don't know what, but you also just don't know what the 49ers are, right? You can't figure it out. Here's my thing on this. I want to cover back on Nagy, right? This is a guy who said, no, I'm not starting this rookie. And he was blasted for it. I mean, blasted for it. And now, he was right. They shouldn't be starting the rookie. I don't know how much influence he had in picking Trubisky, and I don't know how much. I think actually Trubisky was picked before he was there. Trubisky was never his guy. And then I don't know how much influence he had in picking Fields. But Fields may not be an NFL quarterback. He just might not be. He might be. He might not. But if he wasn't picked first, we'd be calling him Nathan Peterson, right? I mean, that's who he basically is, except he was a first rounder. So Nagy's in a tough spot. Maybe he survives the season. Maybe he doesn't. There's no quarterback right now to pick next year. So Fields has probably 2 seasons unless Brett Favre does the unthinkable. Like he already owns Chicago, become the king of Chicago. Like he's coming there to take over Jordan's role. I don't know. It's not a game that I find remotely interesting. I can't even give you a good thing to do fantasy-wise there. Allen Robinson has been stinking it up since Fields has been starting. He's back to where he was his first year with the Bears. It's Montgomery might be a good running back. I don't know. He was great last year. Won some people definitely won some people some championships, but has not been the same kind of stud yet this year. This is just slop. But I guess I'll take the Bears. But it's slop. There's a lot of slop this week. And Eduardo, I think picked up some of the best games early with like the Titans and the Colts game you discussed early.
Yeah. So let's go to another game that is very interesting actually, is the Falcons at home welcoming the Carolina Panthers. A spread of 3 points. That's I think it's very, very low spread on that game because I think it's going to be a high scoring game. But let's remember the Atlanta Falcons own a 5-1 record against the spread versus the Carolina Panthers at home over the last 6 games. So it's interesting game.
So the Falcons, every time they win, it's like shocking. I'm like, oh wait, they're not as bad as I think they are. It's like, they won it. Oh wait, they're almost 500. It's like they're not 500, but they're almost 500. And the Panthers, every time they lose, I'm like, wait, I thought they were good this year, but they're not. They had a nice little start, but not anymore. So you got these 2 teams with 3 wins apiece. The Panthers have the extra loss. The Falcons are home, hence they have the advantage on the spread. I'm hoping for Sam Darnold that he turns it back around. This is a team that you can turn it around against in the Atlanta Falcons. I'm also hoping that Ryan continues to have a good enough season that maybe next year he gets to go someplace and try to win in his twilight years somewhere else, because it's not likely to happen in Atlanta. But then again, they're going to have a high draft pick, so maybe it will. Maybe they got picks. They still have Ridley. They do have him. Maybe they'll find 1 or 2 secret sauce guys and build something in Atlanta for a few more years for him. This game's about the future for the Falcons. The Panthers, CMC went down, and again, they turned into the Panthers. I don't know what their long-term plan is. Because when your plan is around the running back, ask Giants fans. Scott will tell you, and he goes down. It's not like you're done. Like you hope that next back can do it, but if he can't, he can't. And yes, I don't know if Cordell Patterson is going to keep it up week in and week out. But if you have him, and you're in a dynasty league, you're a contender, you're starting him and just crossing your fingers every week that's for real. And if you don't have him and you're a contender, you're willing to trade your future for him and cross your fingers and hope it stays for real. So here's to Cordell Patterson and what he's doing to many people's surprise.
In this case here, it's saddening to me a little bit because Darnold did really, really well initially. And it was nice to see the resurgence. It was nice to see some of the numbers he was putting up and to see what life was like for him outside of Jets Nation. But I'm rooting for his resurgence or PJ Walker. I'm okay with either one. PJ Walker would have been the XFL MVP had the entire season been done, but COVID did that out last year. But the fact that he got the job with Carolina and got to play last week was nice for this XFL, arguably, like I said, MVP. But a lot more pressure right now is I think it's going to be on Carolina to right the ship because it's gone down very quickly there. Matt Ryan, I think in this case, he's, like you said, he's in the twilight of his career. It'll be interesting to see what happens to him in the offseason. But I'm more curious what happens in Carolina. If they lose this game, do they pull the trigger on a Deshaun Watson trade? His name was swirling around a little bit lately. And I'm really curious to see what happens. So for this interest, because of the fact that I got a feel good feeling for Carolina, I'm going to pull for Carolina to win this game, but I'm going to say it's going to be by 2 points.
So
I just want to come back to Watson. I'm pretty sure Carolina said they were out of the Watson talk. I don't think they want that press in Carolina. That's just what I got in the sense of, not to mention that, sorry, we're going to go down the Watson hole right now, I guess, because
I'll give it a little more time before I believe it, but sometimes those are negotiating tactics. A couple weeks, a couple weeks and a Darnold win, forget it. It's out. But again, if they lose this week and lose badly, you might see that heat up again.
I mean, my whole thought is that Watson is your problem with Watson isn't that there's two problems, right? Number one is what is the PR around him? Number two, what are you getting? Are you getting the guy who's even going to be allowed to play? The commissioner, he's getting a lot of slack for not saying anything, but that's great. I think it's a brilliant tactic. His job is to be the person people boo. He realizes that. It's his job. He's getting the slack for it. But what he's doing is he's keeping Watson out of the game and protecting everybody by not putting him on the exempt list. He's like, no, he's out of the game. And then once some team trades for him and decides they want to start him, then he's like, now I put him on the exempt game, protect the game even further. So he's protecting the shield and taking the heat. I think he does that a lot in ways that people don't give him credit for. I think the owners do. That's why they keep paying him. But that's what I see him doing here. I don't know what's up with Watson. I can't research it. I can't do this. I can't do that. And what he's saying to the owners is, I dare you to trade for him. Saying to the GMs, I dare you to do it because I'm going to make that asset that you just got useless. And I think the owners are aware of what he's doing because they're seeing it and they know who he is and they hired him to protect them from themselves.
So next game we are going to tackle, guys, I think it's going to be a run over by the Buffalo Bills over the Dolphins.
I had a feeling you were going that direction.
I would hope that the Dolphins put a good match because it would give Buffalo a wake-up call that they are not the ultimate power in the NFL. But I don't see it. It's a 14-point spread in favor of Buffalo, considering, well, they are 8-2 against the Miami Dolphins at home over the last 10 games. So it's but now here is what I don't understand about whoever makes the schedules in the NFL, because 4 years straight the Halloween game has been Dolphins Buffalo, and I don't know how that falls into perspective. Is it purposely?
probably just dumb luck because I mean those aren't really the towns you consider for Halloween.
Yeah, no one.
I don't know. Jacksonville plays in London. Who knows?
It's scary as it is.
Well, I mean, listen, the team, they play each other twice a year anyway, so yeah, who knows? Maybe it's a scheduling thing. But
so,
yeah,
I'll be the one who talks about the game then. No, guys, I mean, it is a strange scheduling quirk to the point where it probably is intentional for some reason unknown to us. But look, I think the Bills are definitely the better team. I think there's a lot of talk around Tua. Tua had a great game. They still lost. Tua seems to me to be a project quarterback who's building. Is he ever going to be a guy who's going to be able to be on your team and know you're a playoff contender just because he's there? I don't think so. Is he the kind of guy who can take a team a la, let's just say the average quarterback, and this guy's probably going to the Hall of Fame, but because of his results, is Eli Manning, right? I mean, this is a guy who he has up, he has down. You don't think he's going to be consistent for 16 games, but will he be consistent for 9 or 10 and then get 3 or 4 games in a row that are great? Yes. And I think that Tua is a possibility there. We've already covered Watson a little bit, and this is the team they're always talking about him going to most. I'm not sure that that's a great move for Miami, even if there was no dirt on Watson, but this is another opportunity to see what Tua is against a great defense. It's a great defense, so we would expect them to overwhelm Tua, but maybe he won't. I think the spread is pretty big, and I think that if you are the Miami Dolphins and you are down there, as Coach Campbell is, you're looking, you're like, all right, guys. I mean, they love him. I mean, I love him. He's great guy. He just has that thing going on. Right. All right. Sorry, that's the Detroit coach. But in any case, Flores is over in Miami. Mm-hmm. In any case, this is a game where a moral victory of covering that spread, making Buffalo sweat, will be a good thing for this Miami Dolphins team. This is a team that has to look and prepare as if they're building for the future. They have a quarterback that they might be able to get to be a good enough quarterback in the NFL. So the results, I obviously think they're going to favor the Bills. I think the Bills may not cover 14 and a half points. But this would be a game for the Miami Dolphins that no one will remember except for the guys on the team and the coaching staff when they look at the tape on Monday, Tuesday, whenever it is they look at tape.
Probably even tonight. I mean, yeah, this is a game. I mean, the Bills are going to take this. The odds of them actually reaching the playoffs, and I just happened to look this up. The odds of getting into the playoffs is 97% for Buffalo, 91.4% per Football Outsiders that they're going to actually win the division. There is no reason why they can't do that this year. This is one of those games. They're playing it at home. Miami, it's not, honestly, it's in a lot of different ways. It's a struggling sports town. And this is not going to change anything here. Like you said, it is a good chance for them to see what Tua is made of. He did throw a couple of crucial picks last week, but he did throw for 4 touchdowns, which was something, and almost 300 yards. But this is a test for him to see what he's going to be able to do, and if he is the long-term answer. Do I see Deshaun Watson going there? No, I don't, because I think if they lose this game, they're already building for next year, and I don't think they're going to want to trade what is necessary to get Watson. So my take, I think the Bills do take this thing. I'm going to say they're going to cover the spread, though.
So from Buffalo, we jump to the Chargers, and the Chargers face a Patriots team that is in decay. Really, they haven't shown anything, man. I think coach is kind of saying, "Oops." I think we pulled our. It wasn't me that was doing the plays. It was the other guy, and that's why we were winning. But it's just. I think the Chargers take this one, considering they are at home. Although the record shows the other way, we know that the Patriots have won the last two games when they face the Chargers. So. Mm-hmm. I give it to the Chargers going against the odds.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers do take this one. I mean, Mac Jones is having a decent rookie season. Again, I am more than often against the idea of starting a rookie quarterback straight out of the gate. I much prefer giving them a year to watch, learn, study, and get ready instead of throwing them to the wolves, which is kind of the way the NFL is now. But he's having a decent, run so far: 9 touchdowns, 6 picks, and a 92.9 quarterback rating, which is good for a rookie. But having said that, he is playing on the road against a Charger team that is 4-2 and is in the playoff hunt. It's bizarre. You thought 2020 was odd. You got 2020 equally odd because, again, you're watching the Patriots probably miss the playoffs again. And I predicted that they would eke in the back door with a 10-7 record. So I'm going to admit that I'm probably going to be wrong, especially if they end up losing this game and fall to 3-5. I think Justin Herbert right now, he has a lot of ceiling. He has a lot of potential. I mean, they had a really bad game against Baltimore there, but I think they will do it against the Patriots in this case. It'll be close, but I'm going to say the Chargers take it by a touchdown. They'll cover the spread.
So here's where I differ with you, Eduardo. This Patriots team has 3 wins with a rookie quarterback. And the reason they have 3 wins with a rookie quarterback is they were a decent team last year. They got better just by who came back from COVID. And their coach is great. One of the teams they beat last year, like you said, was San Diego. And the reason they beat San Diego is because let's not forget who Bill Belichick is at heart. He is the guy who stopped the Buffalo Bills, put how to stop the Buffalo Bills on the map, and so that other teams could stop the Buffalo Bills just during Super Bowls. And yeah, Herbert's great. Herbert's wonderful. Herbert is everything everybody says he is. Maybe not better than Joe Burrow, but everything, this is going to be a class that feels like one of the legendary classes just because those 2 guys, Herbert, Burrow. So that being said, I'm not going to count out the Patriots entirely. I think they're going to make Herbert look human. That I'm pretty sure of. The problem is Mac Jones is going to be made looking human as well with that defensive line that San Diego brings to bear on a complete rookie who was not touted. Give credit where credit is due to Mr. Belichick. Yeah, I think he built Tom Brady into the Tom Brady we have now. He found the right offensive coordinators to teach Brady so that Brady could read the field and Brady could do everything he can. And I think Brady winning in Tampa is a testament to Belichick because he changed Arians' offense to match his skills. And Arians, congratulations, let his offense be changed. That being said, again, this is a game where it is 2 different levels of teams. One is a playoff contender one's a Super Bowl contender, and one's a team that's looking to likely miss the playoffs and building something. I don't think there's any question that Bill Belichick, who loves winning, no, the question for Bill Belichick is, does he love winning? Or is this building something he's interested in? Because if it is, this Patriots team could go on another run over 15 years, not like the last one. That was a freak thing. But a couple more Super Bowls in 15 years appearances under Belichick. It's a tough division to do that in with the Bills, but we could be in for some fun football, but not this season.
So with the next game that we are going to look at it's a game that I think is a throwaway. I give it to Seattle just because they are at home, but otherwise, I don't find it interesting at all. The Jaguars are just not there, and Seattle is disappointing. Seattle should be a lot higher than they are right now.
Seattle, to me, I mean, it's interesting to watch what's happening over there in 12th Man Nation. This is not something that they're used to. They're used to being at least contenders for a playoff spot. So it's interesting to watch the fan reaction when your team is 2-5 and your probable Hall of Fame quarterback is currently, basically nursing injuries. I do give Geno Smith, I think, more credit than he's been getting. He's doing well as he's a backup quarterback, but he's done well. And he's got like a 92.9 QB rating, if I remember right. 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. in two starts and also a third game as well. He's been a serviceable backup. I think it'll land him continual work once, Russell Wilson comes back with another team. Who knows? He's journeyman that way. But I don't know if he's enough to get, he's not going to be enough to get that team back in the playoffs. But I do think he's enough to do the job necessary to beat Jacksonville at home. This for them is a must-win game. Jacksonville, I think, has already accepted the fact that this is not going to be their year again. But I think for Seattle, this is a big game. It is a home crowd. I think the crowd's going to be into it, especially if they get ahead early. They fall behind to Jacksonville, maybe 14-0. Then you're going to watch the 12th man suddenly descend and be non-existent, probably for the rest of the season. Winnable game, must-win game. They win the game.
Obi. Nope. No sound, Obi.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll get him back and we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, so like I said, let's cover this a little bit. It did crush me because my opponent in fantasy football had
Back.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And
Awesome.
Sorry.
Go ahead. It's good.
Sorry, I moved mute because there was noise in the house and I couldn't unmute. So look, we're talking about some bad games. So who's going to win the game is not really the important thing. The implications for this game going forward are immense. First of all, Seattle's gotten bad since Chris Carson went down, not just when Russell Wilson went down. But at the end of this season, Seattle's going to look and they're going to be like, okay, this guy, Russell Wilson, is for real. This guy, Russell Wilson, is what makes this team tick. Whether it's what he does on the field or in the locker room, it's irrelevant. He makes his team tick. And they're going to look at him and they're going to say, what do you want? And what we don't know what they want is how does he feel about the coach?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. The coach was questioned on whether he should have passed or thrown in the Super Bowl, but the coach did put the ball in Wilson's hands. So Wilson might think the coach is a good thing. Wilson has also wanted some other players there that he hasn't been getting. So he might think the coach is a bad thing. We don't know what's going to happen. But every time Seattle loses, that's one more question on this coach. On the other side, we have a coach that most people can't believe survived his little scandal in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
We have a quarterback who is slowly becoming good. And he's a rookie. And to Scott's point, unlike Mac Jones, who was thrown into the fire on a team that was middle of the road and got better just by players coming back from COVID. Like, he was on the worst team in the NFL, and then they put him out there to good luck. So we can't really expect the wins to come from him, but he's looking better. His arm is nice. His decision-making seems to be solid when he's not being crushed by 300-pound men. So the question is, does he get injured like Wilson got injured? Does he get injured like Burrows got injured? Or does he get to play 17 games in the NFL this year? And that's what I'm looking at. What I look at with Jacksonville at the end of every game is, did this kid get carted off the field or did he walk off the field learning lessons? So that's where I'm at.
So here we go to the next game, which is also a little bit of a throwback. It's the W team going into Denver to face the Broncos. I think that Denver might take this one. W team to me is just not putting the numbers out there. I would expect better from them this season, but it's just not there.
This is funny because this is Denver's been a streaky team. They started out 3-0. They've lost their last 4, but they are home now. Like you said, whiffed right now. Washington is, shall we speak, and again, part of a 2-5 NFC East. I don't think they're going to be able to do enough. I think they'll go into Denver. They will not win, but I think Denver's going to take it by probably like 2 points. I want to say 25-23.
In the interest of time, hard pass. Next game.
Yeah, the next game is more interesting if it's what I think you're going to do.
Yeah, so the next game is Tampa and the Saints. And Tampa and the Saints, to me, is an interesting game. The numbers go towards towards the Saints. They have a better record against the Buccaneers, but that was before Brady. So I don't I see the Bucks actually taking this game probably by about 3 points, but I do see them winning this game.
Oh,
So when Leonard Fournette learned to catch the ball the other week, until he stops catching the ball, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my Super Bowl pick, and they're not going to lose the game again. At some point, Leonard Fournette's going to stop being able to catch the ball, but until that happens, I'm taking the Bucks every week.
yeah, and the pressure on this one right now is on him because Antonio Brown and Gronk are still out, so it's going to put more pressure on him. It's going to put more pressure on like Evans on.
Godwin.
Thank you. But in this point, I mean, the GOAT continues to go. He's having a great season. I think 19 touchdowns, 4 picks. That Tampa is going to Tampa until they no longer Tampa. And I think in this case, I do say the Bucks take this one. It'll be close, but I don't think Jameis Winston can do enough to overcome what Tom Brady can bring to the table.
So now we go to the game that is going Sunday Night Football, and with the unknown, is Dak playing this game? I think if Dallas has to play with their second quarterback, I don't think they are going to take the Vikings. But anything can happen. It's a 2.5 spread right now.
I think in this particular game, this is interesting to me on a lot of fronts because Dallas right now, it's been 25 years since they've been in an NFC championship. I mentioned the Bengals 32 years in the AFC. The Cowboys, it's been a long time since Bill Clinton's first term in office, since the last time they were in an AFC championship game. They're running away with this division. The NFC East is garbage. But I like it from a lot of different fronts. I think they can actually continue. They can go into Minnesota and do well. What I find equally interesting, though, is from a rating standpoint, because that game is going up against Game 5 of the World Series. And you know what? I think Sunday Night Baseball could beat the last game of the baseball season in the World Series in the ratings. I really do.
I think the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football is no accident. Ratings. I wonder how much of this not telling us whether Dak is playing or not is being orchestrated by the NFL itself, just so you have to watch to find out. Look, if Dak plays, this game doesn't even seem like a question to me, and kudos to Dak Prescott for us all thinking that. This is a guy, even this offseason, you're like, is he worth the money? Isn't he worth the money? Last year, when he got whatever that tenure is, he's not worth it. He's not that kind of quarterback. And now everybody on this panel, everybody on every panel thinks the most important thing that happens for the Cowboys is Dak Prescott plays. Good for him. Look at Goff. Look at Wentz, his draft companions. There we are laughing at the teams that have them. Go Dak. I love Dak. Dak has won me multiple fantasy football championships. Dak, all day, all night. That being said, even if Dak doesn't play, Minnesota's rushing defense sucks. Mm-hmm. And so for one game, maybe we go back to, it was always Elliott all this time. And you let Elliott and you let his partner come in and you just run it and you see the same game plan we saw on Thursday night is just pound the rock. Mm-hmm. So lots on the coaching staff if Dak's not playing. They're the only ones who know. But yes, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
So last game, none the least, interesting game for Monday Night Football. Mr. Mahomes going to play against the Giants.
Listen, Mahomes is having a terrible season this year, okay? First of all, he is tied for the NFL lead in most interceptions with 9. By comparison, 2019, 2020, he only had 11 between them, so he is having a terrible season by Mahomes standards. Having said that, he also threw 18 touchdowns, so I'm kidding in some ways. But the Giants are what the Giants are. That's what the Giants continue to be, and it never will really change anytime soon. Like I said, they are the better of the Division III teams in the New York area playing in the NFL. Ironically enough, the Giants, though, are 11-3 in the season in the all-time series between these two teams. Most recently in 2017, when they had an impressive 12-9 win at home. The only two players that were on that team back then were Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard. Everyone else has been gone, so not only do the Giants do really well with turnovers on the field, they do a really good job at turnovers in the locker room as well. Obi?
All right, look. I don't know what Kansas City is.
Damn thing there.
Yeah, I can see that. I practice that one in the mirror. Now, I don't know what Kansas City is. I don't. The defense is atrocious. This is the kind of team I feel like if they were to make the playoffs, it will be one of those teams that makes the playoffs on one of those super hot runs, and then yes, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Like that's just how it's going to have to be for them. I'm not saying this has to be the first game in that run. They can win this game and lose another game and then go on that run. But if you want me to believe the Kansas City Chiefs are right, they got to win this game. They got to win this game by a lot. They got to cover spreads. They got to cover if you take the Giants in the parlay and get an extra 10 points, they got to cover that spread. Kansas City needs to go into or have New York come to them and stomp on their throats and have us all turning this game off at halftime. Not because it's important that they win. It's important that they remind us who they are and put fear into the other teams that you have not caught up to Mahomes. Some of those interceptions have been on desperation plays. They got to keep him from that. But, yeah, But I'm not even sure the Chiefs are going to win this game. I said all that, and I'm not sure. I don't know who they are. Their defense is gross. And Daniel Jones is learning to play NFL quarterback. And this defense is gross. He's got receivers there. The defense is just gross. I'm done. Gross defense.
Yeah. Tell us how you really feel, though, please.
No, it's disgusting. I think we're heading to the Big Ten now, and this defense couldn't stop a Big Ten team.
So I want to just touch, and I hate to do this to you guys because it's a game that cleaned me out last night. Well, actually, yesterday at noon, the game Michigan State, because
go that way?
It was a heartbreaking for me. My alma mater lost a game that they should have won. They had the game won from the one when the game started, and Coach Harbaugh just gave up. He gave up the game. Lack of defense. I mean, it was just horrible.
It was ugly on both sides.
It was a good game. It was a great celebration in the state. I can tell you that much. But yeah, it was just bad. I don't know if you guys saw the game or not, but it was.
There's certain winnable games. I mean, this is the first time you've had two 7-0 teams go at it. Both teams being 7-0 going against each other since 1964. So from a scoring standpoint, it was worth it from that regard. But again, I mean, both teams had a couple of turnovers there. The offense on Michigan's side was phenomenal. By all accounts, yes, they should have won that game. They controlled most everything in every single category. But it is what the end result is. The score is what the end score is. And in this case, despite McNamara putting up really good numbers, they still lost.
So when you said we were talking about the Big Ten, I didn't think you were going to talk about your alma mater and the game of the day, Michigan State. I thought we were going to talk about how RU got its first Big Ten win. Eduardo, breaking my heart over here. Now, obviously, that was a huge
to Jersey.
Yeah, obviously, that was a huge game. Probably the biggest game on the slate yesterday with the two top-ranked teams. I asked earlier, is Harbaugh going to get his signature win? He did not. Now we know it's, we're going to look between Michigan State and Ohio State. We'll see how that works out for the Big Ten. And yeah, I mean, I did not see the game. I watched just the scores in college football, check on some stats on who the best players are for who's going to be pros. But I know as I was checking all day, I was going, Harbaugh's going to win this thing. Harbaugh's going to win this thing. And then when I checked at the end, he didn't. So not a good thing. And so as I know you're a heavy booster over there. Is he staying or is he gone?
If we don't make it to the end, to the big game this year, he's gone. I think so because they have this is the best team probably since Brady on paper, anyways. But it's shocking because consider and I perspective. I don't want to say something bad about the rankings, but whoever is doing the rankings must be drinking heavily. I am I am a Michigan fan, and I love and a Michigan alumni. But if you win the biggest game in the of the season, because it was the biggest game of the season of two undefeated teams, and you are still sitting 8 in the ranking, 2 places below the team that you beat, there is something wrong. It shouldn't be. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another show of the NFL Insiders. We'll be back next Sunday at the same time in the same bad channel. Remember that this show can also be heard across the Spanglish World Radio Network and the Single TV and the Single Radio Network as well. Please remember to go to our website, leave us a little bit of a rating and a rank and a comment to see how we did, and also to see if you like the programming that we are offering to you. And until next week, remember, Spanglish Sports, Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, but especially leave it, because the NFL Insiders is here. And until then, have a great afternoon.